Today I must offer my sincere apologies to Neocon Nikki Haley. And do you feel safe flying on United Airlines? Well, after today's show, you just may change your mind. Stay tuned, everybody. For the best meat you have ever eaten in your life, go to samsbutchershop.com. Enter the coupon code Triple T when you check out for a 10% discount. Hello, everybody, and a happy Thursday to you all. I am Trailer Trash Tim. Welcome to the channel. I am so glad that you are here. Thank you so much for joining with me today. And I must start at the top. You know, the late, great Rush Limbaugh always made it a case to correct any mistakes. In the newspapers, traditionally, if they made a mistake, let me straighten my camera out real quick here. There we go. If they made a mistake, they would bury a retraction like 20 pages in, right? And Rush Limbaugh would always say, if I made a mistake, it's the lead story the next day. And I could appreciate that and I could respect that. Well, I've been pretty hard on little Neocon Nikki Haley lately, as you know, and including in yesterday's show when I pointed out the fact that after the Iowa caucuses, or caucus, whatever you want to call them, she stood before the press and made the declaration that obviously this was now a two-man race. And I got a pretty good chuckle out of that because Neocon Nikki finished, of course, third in that race. And I was on my channel yesterday mocking her mercilessly, basically saying that she didn't know how to add. She can't name any provinces in Ukraine, as we know. She couldn't answer that question from Vivek Ramaswamy. And I'm saying this woman can't count to 2 or 3. Well, you know what? I think I've been wrong about that because obviously, she was saying it's a two-man race. She finished third, so that would mean, logically, it's just down to between Trump and DeSantis now, right? So I was mocking her mercilessly for this. Well, I think I may just owe Neocon Nikki Haley an apology. Maybe it's Trailer Trash Tim who has egg on his face, and that's why I wanted to lead with this today, because I ran across a man on Twitter as I was scrolling later yesterday afternoon, and I want to introduce you to this man. This man is named Simon, I believe it is Ateba, A-T-E-B-A. Simon Ateba is a journalist. He is from Cameroon. He is a Cameroonian. And Simon Ateba, he posts some really good stuff on Twitter. And he has a website called, let me get it here, Today News Africa. This is Simon Ateba. And he is, or at least was, I think he still is, a member of the White House Press Corps. He's gotten into copious amounts of trouble with Karine Jean-Pierre, because she would never call on him to answer a question, and he had enough of it one day, and he started shouting out his questions, trying to get her to answer him, which she would not do, and eventually they pulled his press card, and he lost his access to the White House press room. So I don't really know what his status is right now. I think he's still in and around Washington, but he does still have the website Today News Africa. I find him pretty sharp. He's pretty bright. He posts some really interesting things on Twitter. But what got my attention was that Simon Ateba posted another angle, his angle, on this Neocon Nikki Haley supposed gaffe, where she said that it is now a two-man race. Well, as I said, my conclusion may have been all wet. Maybe Simon, who has another take on this, maybe his ideas are worth consideration. Listen at what Simon wrote on Twitter yesterday. Quote, "I would like to tell you something uncomfortable, a bitter truth. Anything else is a lie. Do not be deceived by propagandists, demagogues, and politicians who just align with the wind. When Nikki Haley said this is now a two-man race after losing Iowa, it was not about Trump. Listen to this. She was referring to DeSantis and herself. Think about it, folks. This is because in the back of everyone's mind here in D.C., Trump is too dangerous to become president again, and they will not let that happen at all costs. It is war. Actually, he continues, the left, the deep state, and the D.C. establishment believe that Trump is an existential threat to the United States of America, and his MAGA base has been brainwashed, and they have to take things into their own hands. They must stop him at all costs, and they will do it through the courts and eliminate him. If that does not work, they might go further to the final option. I will refrain from mentioning it here. He continues. Now, what have I been saying about that? Simon continues. This is not about trying to understand the MAGA base and asking why do they love him. Is he talking about their concerns? Is paying them the attention they need? Is he filling their needs? And any other question that you ask to win over an electorate. Vivek Ramaswamy spoke about it, but he may change now after receiving backlash. He received a similar backlash after speaking honestly about the Israeli-Palestinian war, so he changed his position and now condemns only money going to Ukraine, not to Israel, also a foreign nation. He also received a similar backlash after saying that the 20 elections were not rigged. He adjusted it by saying they were rigged by big techs in the deep state. Most MAGA people believe the elections were rigged at the ballot box, but all politicians are that way. They have to adapt to public opinion to fit in. There are three wars that we are facing. The media war to win over independents, the legal war to disqualify Trump, and the deep state war to reportedly save America from Trump. These wars will happen at the same time, and the months ahead will be tumultuous. Remember, no politician can speak the truth and survive. For thousands of years, the people who have spoken the truth have often been philosophers, poets, and thinkers, people who were not running for any office and did not need the approval of the public. This is because the public often rejects the truth when it contradicts their beliefs, for they prefer the comfort of illusions over the discomfort of reality. Man. That's why Winston Churchill once said, men occasionally stumble over the truth, but most of them pick themselves up and hurry off as if nothing ever happened. May God help us. Did you catch all that from Simon Atiba? So he is basically saying that, and this is an arguable point, I still think maybe Neocon Nikki just didn't do the math. Simon has a different take, but either way, the points he is making are absolutely accurate. He is making essentially the same points that Vivek was making when he had been maintaining before he got out of the race that Donald Trump will not be allowed to get anywhere back near the White House again. And Vivek was saying that the deep state will stop at nothing to keep Trump out of the White House. And I believe he's right about that. And that is why Simon maintains that when Neocon Nikki Haley says it's a two-man race, she's referring to herself and DeSantis because she has already in her mind removed Trump as a participant or a factor in the race. In her mind, Simon maintains, Trump is no longer present. He's no longer part of the equation. It's just a race now between she and DeSantis. Now, that's Simon's idea, and you have to admit the idea, whether it's right or not, does have some merit to it, folks. I don't necessarily agree with him on that necessarily insofar as that's what Nikki Haley meant. I don't necessarily agree that's what she meant, but it is a very real scenario where Trump is removed and the race becomes between Neocon Nikki and Ron DeSantis. And that's what Vivek was saying, because he is maintaining that the deep state, which transcends party politics, the deep state has members of the Republican Party and the Democratic Party. The deep state is the R's and the D's, right? The deep state is people who are entrenched in Washington, both elected and non-elected, both elected and in the bureaucracy. And Vivek is saying the deep state would be fine with Neocon Nikki as president. So if you run Haley against Biden, or Haley against an Obama, or Haley against Gavin Newsom, the deep state really doesn't care who wins. It's a win-win for them, right? Because with either candidate from either party, you ostensibly get the same policies. The same wars continue. The same economic policy. The same pitting groups of people and races of people against each other, which the Democrats are shameless at doing. So it's something to think about, but you've got to take into consideration this last paragraph. I've got to repeat this. Please bear with me and commit this thing. I tell you, you ought to write this post down and repost it on your Twitter account or Facebook or wherever you are. Remember, no politician can speak the truth and survive. For thousands of years, the people who have spoken the truth have often been philosophers, poets, and thinkers, people who were not running for any office and did not need the approval of the public. This is because the public often rejects the truth when it contradicts their beliefs, for they prefer the comfort of illusions over the discomfort of reality. Does that not accurately describe the American electorate today, or not? Where you have politicians falling all over themselves to tell people what they want to hear rather than what is the truth. This is why people like me could never be elected to office, because I'm just going to speak the truth as I see it. Could I be wrong? Of course I could be wrong. But you've got, at least got to be measured by a particular standard, that being the truth, what your convictions are, what you really believe is right. And you can't budge on it. You can't waffle on it. People like that are a rare bird in Washington, D.C. Maybe Rand Paul, maybe J.D. Vance, maybe Hawley, maybe Mike Lee, maybe Thomas Massey, but I could probably count them on two hands at the most. People that have real convictions, and they are firm on their convictions. They will not budge. They will not bend. They will not entertain lobbyists. They know what they believe, and they say what they believe, and they offer themselves up for public service knowing they're probably not going to get elected. That's the kind of people you want serving you in public office. Who do you want to be the president of the United States? I'll tell you who you want. You want the person who doesn't want the job, by and large. So, my apologies to you, Neocon Nikki, because perhaps I misjudged you, darling. Perhaps you did know what you were talking about. Perhaps you're counting on the possibility of it being a two-man race between you and Ron DeSantis. Hey, maybe I was wrong. Maybe it's me. So there's my apology, Neocon Nikki. Do with it as you will. All right, let me move on. Man, I am telling you, how many of you fly regularly or every now and then? You may not want to hear this story if you do fly. Then again, people that subscribe to the Trailer Trash Tim channel are astute and knowledgeable, and they probably already know about this story anyway. This story, if you are a regular flyer, well, it doesn't matter if you're regular or not. If you fly, if you go to the airport and get on a plane, particularly if it is a United Airlines plane, you might want to rethink whether or not the next time you go on a trip, you just want to maybe hitchhike or take a train or take a scooter or whatever. This is a quote from the CEO of United Airlines, a man by the name of Scott Kirby. Do I have some stuff on Mr. Kirby today? Mr. Kirby said this, quote, remember, the CEO of United Airlines, we have committed that 50% of the class will be women and people of color. United Airlines CEO admits to a DEI quota because there are too many white men flying airplanes. DEI is an acronym standing for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Because, folks, that's what's really important today. If you're not diverse and equitable and inclusive, well, you need to get with the program. And so United Airlines and Mr. Scott Kirby, they are all in for DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Kirby says United Airlines CEO Scott Kirby in a recent interview admitted they're no longer seeking the most qualified candidates. Sorry, lost my connection there. I'm on United Airlines. Scott Kirby in a recent interview admitted they are no longer seeking the most qualified candidates to safely transport their passengers on commercial flights. Instead, Kirby says, quote, we have committed that 50% of the class will be women or people of color, unquote, instead of the most qualified individuals they can find. In other words, what's most important to Scott Kirby and United Airlines are gender and the color of your skin. Now, if you are looking for pilots for your airline, what would be the top of your hit parade in terms of importance when you're looking for pilots? Well, for me, it would be safety. The safety of the passengers, that would be number one, right? I would be more concerned with meritocracy than skin color or inclusion or diversity. For crap's sakes, you're talking about flying an airplane that is full of hundreds of people who simply want to get from destination A to destination B. They don't really care about your DEI program. They just want a competent pilot to get them from point A to point B. But you, Scott Kirby, are more concerned that that pilot is a person of color or a person of the correct gender so that you can meet your particular DEI quota. That's what's most important to you. Where is safety on the list? Down the list? Is it just not that important anymore? Basically, what you have, if you have two people in school to become United Airlines pilots, and you've got a white man, let's just say it how it is, and he is proven to be a competent airline pilot. He's got the resume. Maybe he was a fighter pilot and learned his skills at the Naval Academy or something and flew Hornets off the aircraft carriers, and now he's a decorated fighter pilot, and he's applying for a job to be a commercial pilot with United Airlines. And next to him, you've got a person of color, and hopefully it's a woman of color. And people like Scott Kirby, no matter how she may score in competency testing, they're going to give the nod to her because they want to be diverse, and they want to be inclusive, and they want to be equitable. Whose hands would the plane be safer in? Hers or his? Well, that's not important. Let me tell you something. This is sheer madness. If I go to get on an airplane and I want to fly out of Birmingham, Alabama, and I want to go to Los Angeles or Seattle or Vegas or wherever, all that I want is to get on there with as minimal amount of hassle as is possible. And I want the pilot to get me there in one piece, quickly, efficiently, and without incident, and safely. That's all I ask. Therefore, it is important to me as the passenger and the consumer that you assign to my aircraft the most qualified and safety-conscious captain you can put in that airplane. That's what's important. I'm telling you, I am not the first person to say this kind of nonsense, this kind of sheer madness is going to come home to roost. We're going to have an airline disaster sooner or later, and they'll call the NTSB out to investigate what happened. But I'm going to go ahead and tell you right now what happened before it happened. It's going to be some incompetent idiot behind the controls of an airplane that did not know what they were doing. But because they were a diversity hire, they got the job. Safety be damned. You mark my words, folks, sooner or later it's going to happen. This story goes on and on and on, and there a little bit more I can tell you about Scott Kirby. Scott Kirby likes to dress up, by the way, in drag. Yeah. Scott Kirby, United Airlines hired a drag queen, I'm looking at the pictures right now, to be the CEO, and now United has turned their focus to incorporating drag into their business and sponsoring drag shows. I'm looking at close-ups of Scott Kirby, the CEO of United Airlines, dressed up like a drag queen. Purple hair. It's unbelievable. The United Airlines proudly does drag for the first time ever for Pride Month in Denver, Colorado. I'm looking at pictures of United Airlines employees all dressed in drag. It's Pride Week in Denver, and United is proud to sponsor various Pride events this weekend. During the past years, we've had large turnouts of United employees. Friends and families join us, and I'd like you to participate if you're interested. And I'm looking at a shot. I can't wait till I get more high-tech and I can show you the pictures. I'm looking at pictures of United Airlines employees that I think are men, but they're dressed up in the most bizarre outfits as drag queens. Now, if you're going to put your grandmother on a United Airlines airplane and you start to send her down the chute to get on the jet, but there's a little parade of United Airlines employees dressed up like drag queens, are you going to say, why don't we go check with Delta or Southwest? I don't know if it's as bad with them or not, but I mean, this is unbelievable. Google this if you want more information, or maybe I'll post some links down below in the show notes. We live in mad times. We live in sad times. We have lost our way. We have lost our minds. We have lost our common sense. Why must we make an issue out of such things and bring it into the workplace? You know what I want people to do in the workplace? Just do your job and keep your agenda out of the workplace. Just keep it out. If I'm going to go get on an airplane, I don't want to see a drag show. I just want you to give me my little pack of peanuts, let me have my seat, give me a pillow maybe, and get me from point A to point B. But I don't really fly. I haven't flown in years. Marina flies every now and then, but you can bet if I had the occasion to fly, I would do everything within my power to avoid flying on United Airlines, and I suggest you do the same. Hey, listen, give me your comments down below. I would appreciate it. I love to hear from you guys. I'll try and answer it if I can. Like this video down below. Give me the old thumbs up. Hit that thumbs up button. And if you have not yet subscribed to the Trailer Trash Tim channel, I invite you to do so right now. Come on and join our growing community. Go out there and have a great Thursday, everybody, and I will see you probably tomorrow. I must offer an apology to Neocon Nikki Haley. And are you going to publish this? Probably not, because I just goofed up. Let's try that again. Today, I must offer a heartfelt apology to Neocon Nikki Haley. And do you feel safe on flying do you feel safe on flying? Oh, forget it. Today, I must Blooper reel.